Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to give you 10 mental health tips. Stay tuned. Alright, so let's get into this video. I'm going to talk about some mental health tips. These are going to be regarding depression, anxiety, and any other thing that pertains to the health of your mind, because that's very important. It's almost as important as taking care of your body. As we all know, the body and mind are connected. So let's get into these tips. The first one is depression can result from regretting decisions and feeling helpless regarding them. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a few different causes of depression. This is the first one I'm going to talk about. So if you make a decision in your life and it ends up being the wrong one for you, or what you might think was the wrong one for you, then you will probably regret that. And that's going to cause depression because you're going to constantly ruminate over what you should have done. Many people, in fact, I think almost everybody has experienced this, where they've regretted something they've said or done, and they really couldn't let it go. They just kept thinking about it. And this makes you feel helpless because, as you know, you can't change the past. So this is a pretty big cause of depression. Another cause of depression is replaying traumatic experiences and feeling like a victim. So everybody's had experiences in their life that have been traumatic. Some have been worse than others. A lot of experts that I follow talk about big T and little t, which would be big traumatic and small traumatic experiences. So almost everybody's had small ones for sure. But not everybody has experienced big ones. However, the important thing to realize here is that all traumatic experiences, whether big or small, are going to affect you, and they're going to stay in your energetic system, in your body, if you haven't processed them correctly. And honestly, I'm starting to think, the more that I study this, the more I think that nobody has processed their trauma correctly. Now, of course, there's exceptions, people that have gone to therapy successfully, and that's a very rare case in my opinion, because I have hardly ran across somebody that's been to therapy and was able to stop and can claim that it worked and they're completely 100% better. Because honestly, talk therapy particularly it's good, but it's not going to heal your energetic problems that result from those traumatic experiences. What you need to do is do shadow work and trauma healing, and that's a little bit more complicated than just talking. So anyway, the reason why this is a big deal, because people think that they are victims when they have gone through any type of traumatic experience, and many times this will lead to victim mentality, which will be with you for the rest of your life unless you actually take steps to get rid of it. Depression can also result from focusing only on happiness from the past instead of the present moment. So the present moment is a crucial thing that a lot of mental health experts talk about, and even spiritual. This is a spiritual thing as well, because really, when you think about it, the past and the future don't exist in the sense that we think they do, because you can't change the past, and you can try to control your future, but you still can't guarantee your future. You also can't make changes in the future, because a lot of people think, I'm going to start this new thing tomorrow. I don't feel like it today, but I'm going to start it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow comes and nothing really has changed. You're still the same person. You're just going to have to hope that your willpower is strong enough to make you get your butt into gear. But most likely it's not. And that's a result of not working through these traumatic experiences and your shadow side. So basically, you really need to focus on the present moment, and you need to make the changes in the present moment. And this is a big subject. I mean, I can't really go too deep into all of that, what I was just talking about. But basically, this is a cause of depression when you focus too much on the past. Anxiety can result when we are worried about the outcome of a situation. So now we're getting into the causes of anxiety, and like I said in the previous slide, the outcome of a situation pertains to the future. And you will have anxiety if you are worried about something in the future that you don't know how it's going to go, but you're afraid it's going to go a certain way. So that causes anxiety. Anxiety can also result when we feel fear for any reason, real or imagined. So our minds don't know the difference between real and imagination. And this is why you are able to cause physical changes just by thinking. The body and mind are so connected. In fact, I mean, they're kind of like the same thing, only different manifestations of the same thing. Basically, your body is the physical manifestation, and your mind is the mental manifestation. So they're all part of you, of course. So if you feel fear that is not real, that's why sometimes they say fear is false evidence appearing real, the acronym of the letters, because it really is something that you are just thinking about. You can cause anxiety just by thinking, and that's actually, I would venture to say that's all anxiety is basically from thinking. Because if you've ever taken medication to stop anxiety, it's really stopping the part of your brain that can be allowed to ruminate. And so you'll find that you're not really thinking, you're just having thoughts. There's kind of a difference between thinking and having thoughts. Everybody has thoughts and you can't stop them, but thinking, which is like ruminating and worrying, that is what leads to anxiety. So it's important to remember that even if something is not happening, you are helping to give yourself anxiety by thinking about it happening. And I understand that people worry about things that they have to prevent in the future. I mean, this is basically the number one cause of anxiety is people worrying about how are they going to pay their bills, you know, how are they going to find a job, how are they going to do anything in life. Sometimes things are just overwhelming, and that thinking about that future stuff is what causes anxiety. But I understand it's hard, and we've all been there, and I've been there. So anxiety can also result when we feel we cannot control either the events happening in our lives or the feelings that arise from these events. This is an extension of the previous slide. So we can't always control events in our lives. We do have some influence over them, but what really matters is the feelings that we get from these events and how we control ourselves with those feelings. So you might have heard that it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And that's a big thing. That's a hard thing, though, because most people can't take what happened and learn from it and be calm about it. Most people, if something bad happens, they react rather than respond. They don't really calm down and think about it. Well, you know, in this case, I'm using the word think as a way to solve the problem. Some problems have to be solved and you can solve them, but some problems are just problems that you make bigger by thinking about them. So it's really all connected, and this is a very deep subject, so I'm going to move on to the next one, which is work-related stress. We should reduce work-related stress and strive for a good work-life balance. This is crucial to our mental health, especially nowadays with the pandemic and everybody wanting better treatment at their jobs, wanting more time at home, because they realize that what really matters is, you know, the things that you can't pay for, you know. So there's a movement happening currently at the time of this video recording where people are not settling for things that are not good for them, and that's good because we shouldn't settle. And so workplaces, businesses are starting to adapt to that. You know, if we don't give them our work, they're not going to be able to survive unless they change. So that could be a tangent. I could go off there. So I'll just leave it at this, that work-related stress is a biggie, and try to improve your work-life balance. When you put yourself into an altered state using meditation, trance, or intense focus, your depression and anxiety can be relieved. So let's break this down. Altered state. I have made videos on altered states. There are many ways that you can easily put yourself into an altered state. So what that is basically the alpha brainwave state or the theta brainwave state, but theta is harder to get into. Alpha is pretty easy. Alpha is the state that you get into when you're watching TV, when you're driving on a long, straight road and you're not really talking to somebody, you're just in a state of trance. So trance, this is also the kind of the state that you want to be in when you're in meditation. You don't want to ruminate. You don't want to focus on problems. You want to kind of get your brain into that state. And this is why I like to talk about certain types of videos that help you to get into that state where it's easy to meditate. Guided meditations are good, binaural beats, even ASMR. That's a whole separate subject, but if you know what ASMR is, you probably know what I mean. It's really relaxing and it puts you into a trance. Lots of types of videos that are designed for this. So you can relieve your depression and anxiety instantly, although it is temporary, but it's still something. And if you've ever struggled with depression and anxiety, which you probably have if you're watching this, then you probably know what it is like, that you will take anything. You'll take anything you can get anytime, even if it's only 5 minutes. And that's why, you know, this is another example of sound healing, because you're really just using the vibrations of the sound. This can be music or instruments or noise that is designed for sound healing, to put yourself into an altered state, to put yourself into that meditative trance where you can focus. I've had it happen to me so many times where I'll play one of these videos and I instantly feel relieved of any anxiety or depression I was feeling. And it makes me think of it from a different perspective. I'm no longer ruminating about it. I'm just kind of in that alpha state where you have a complete different perspective on that. So research sound healing. I might have done a video on that. I'm not sure if I've actually published it yet or not, but I have a blog post about it anyway. So sound healing, altered states. I really think that these are the key to helping you with stress, anxiety, and depression. I mean, like I said, it's only temporary, because you're still going to have that baseline of where you are, and you're still going to have problems in your life that you haven't dealt with, trauma and shadow work and things like that. But like I said, if you're struggling, you are going to want any relief you can, even if it is only temporary. Creativity, personal development, and mind expansion play a large role in your mental and emotional health, so don't neglect them. So these are things like exploring your hobbies, personal growth, doing activities that are good for your brain, like puzzles, expression, learning a new musical instrument. All of these things are so good for your mental and emotional health, because another way that they're good is you are putting yourself into that alpha state. When you are doing anything creative, even if you're just using coloring, like adult coloring pages are really good for this. Anything where you're sitting and doing something with your hands, like let's say you have creative hobbies that are, you know, crafts, or creating like you're knitting or sewing or anything like that, where it'll take your mind off of your problems. So, and this is another thing that's probably only temporary. You know, you're not going to solve your problems by sewing a sweater, but you are going to give yourself a break and the more time that you spend in the parasympathetic nervous system, the better overall. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest mode of your body, where your body is putting all of its energy into healing. And so you want that. The more time you can spend in that stage, the better. And that's really what it's all about, is, you know, trying to incorporate as much of this into your life as possible. And the 10th tip is reduce stressful and toxic relationships. If you don't have any or enough close, healthy relationships, strive to make it happen. So stressful and toxic relationships are environments and situations that are bad for us. They do more harm than they do good. This includes jobs, which I mentioned earlier. This also includes people, of course, relationships, people you live with, your family, your friends. So don't stay involved in a relationship that's doing more harm than good. That doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life, but do your best to cut down on the time that you are around in those relationships. Healing your own trauma is crucial to this as well, because you may be a person that contributes to a toxic relationship. You might be codependent, because it takes the opposite in order to make the opposite keep going. So if you are a negative, depressed victim role, there's always going to be somebody that helps you and enables you and balances that. So the key is to have everybody balance themselves, heal themselves, and then there won't be any reason to be in codependency anymore. So these 10 tips, along with a little bit more of this mental health information, is available in my mental health workbook. That's where I directly got these from. And there's also pages that you can do journal prompts and work through your traumas and present moment and all that stuff. So if you want to check out that workbook, this video here will show you what's inside. So thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe and like, and see you in the next video.